And as the name infers, he makes spices. He also happens to be a competition barbecuer, and he wins quite a lot of awards. Anyway, I was on his website checking out some spices to order, and he had a new product called Tango Verde Green. Okay, this isn't a red powder, this is a green powder, and this packs pretty much a good wallop. I saw it, I read the description of it, I was like, I'd like to try that. So I got in touch with Joe. I said, hey, why don't you send me a tube and maybe one of your recipes, and I'll feature it on my channel. Just like that. He was like, great. So he sent me the tube, Tango Verde Green. Okay, this is jalapeno pepper. There's garlic, there's cumin, there's celery seed in here, there's some black pepper, oregano. This is an excellent green combination. So he sends me the tube, and he sends me a recipe for an experiment he's been working on called bay shrimp chowder. He hadn't quite finalized it yet. He sent it over and said, hey, you do a lot of soups, make it. So I was like, okay. So this week, I'm going to make bay shrimp chowder using Tango Verde Green from Tango Joe at the Tango Spice Company. All right? It's going to be good. It's going to be a rib sticker and really warming because the weather is getting really cold. Every night now for about the last week, we've gotten down to freezing here in the high desert in Las Vegas. So this is going to be a real stick-to-your-ribs chowder. So as usual with YouTube, 15 minutes. Let's get going. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, guys. The first order of business. I have about 3 cups of potatoes, peeled, chopped, and put in this boiling water. We're going to cook them for about 5 to 8 minutes, plus or minus. We want them just tender, just al dente, and then we're going to mash them and move on. Okay, guys, here's one of my little twists to the recipe. This here is about 2 tablespoons, say 2.5 tablespoons of finely chopped bacon. But I'm not using stripped bacon, I'm using bacon ends and pieces. And the reason I use the ends and pieces, first off, it's a better buy. Second off, you get more meat in the ends and pieces pack than you get in a regular pack. And third, I can trim the ends and pieces to control how much fat I have going into a recipe. Now, I trim these ends and pieces, and like I said, it's about 2.5 tablespoons of chopped bacon here. And if you look, there's really not a whole lot of fat. And I don't want a whole lot of fat, because what I'm going to do to this bacon is I'm going to add some garlic. Okay, and I'm going to mix that in. Simple enough. And I'm going to mix in some finely chopped shallot. Okay. Now, Joe wanted to use a finely chopped medium onion. I didn't happen to have a medium onion in the house, but I had a couple of shallots, so I chopped up an equivalent amount of shallots. It'll work fine. You can use white onion, brown onion, red onion, or shallot, as I've chosen here. And as you see, as I saute it, there's really not a whole lot of fat, because I don't want the flavor of the bacon to overpower the flavor of the shrimp. I just want a little undertone. And instead of putting the onion in its raw state, I'm going to saute all of this down until it's nice and brown, and it's going to get added as a wonderful flavor layer to this chowder. So hang on tight, and we're going to move on from here. Okay, so we've switched the burners again, and the bacon and the shallots are on the back burner, and the potatoes have just made al dente. So now I'm going to start mashing them. Okay? You don't want them fully cooked at this stage, because they're going to continue to cook as the soup progresses in its stages. So you cook them just a little bit al dente. So I'm going to mash them up. And as well, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. It's a rock salt grinder. A little bit of black pepper for a flavor layer. Okay. Not too much, because there's going to be more coming later on. Because cream soups love black pepper. So I'm going to continue mashing this. I'm going to go for a rough consistency, not a smooth. I want it a little bit on the rustic side. But I'm going to continue to mash until the potatoes are in itty bitty little bits, a little rustic, and then we'll move forward on to the next step. Okay, the potatoes have been mashed. Okay, I'm turning the heat back on, and I'm going to add 4 cups of chicken stock. If you happen to have homemade chicken or turkey stock, use it. This is a carton of organic, 100% organic chicken stock. So I'm going to add that to these potatoes. There we go. I'm going to stir it up. And to that, I'm going to add some green enchilada sauce. Oh my God. Whoever thought that you would have a chowder made with green enchilada sauce? It's not a Mexican chowder, but green enchilada sauce got a lot of flavor. Now, I'm going to bring this up to a simmer. It'll continue to cook the potatoes, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, I brought the soup to a boil, and now it's to a simmer. Now we're going to add a little more salt. Come on, grinder. I'm going to add a little more salt, because I tasted it, and it's always going to be an adjustment. There we go, a little salt, a little more black pepper. Freshly ground Telecherry black pepper. Okay. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to let this simmer for about a minute, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Okay guys, here we go. It's been simmering for about a minute. We're moving on to the next step. Right now, I'm going to add some Mexican crema. Okay? Basically, sour cream. Mexican sour cream, okay? But let me tell you something. If you have never used Mexican sour cream in any of your cooking, you are seriously missing out. Okay? Anybody tries to tell you that regular old American sour cream is better sour cream for recipes, they don't know what they're talking about. This crema is so thick, so delicious, so tasty. Okay? There ain't nothing like Mexican crema. Okay? This is going to go in here. Okay? I'm going to try to get every bit out. They should put it in a flat container instead of a long tubular one. Okay? I've got a little bit more to put in here, and I'm going to mix it in well. And then we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, guys. The Mexican crema is dissolved. Look at this velvety texture. Excuse me. Look at this. Look at this. Creamy and velvety. I just tasted it, and it can use another level of salt and another level of pepper. Cream soups love black pepper. Period. Okay. Just a little bit of salt. There you go. I'm going to mix this in, let it simmer another minute, and then move on to the next step. Okay guys, I brought the soup back to a simmer, and now I'm going to add in the caramelized shallots and bacon. Okay. There wasn't a whole lot of grease, because as I said, I trimmed the ends and pieces to not give off an excess amount of grease, so I didn't have to place it on a paper towel. Get it off that spoon, get every last bit off that spoon, and stir that in for a flavor layer. This won't overpower the shrimp, but it'll add a lovely flavor layer. Okay, and to this, going to add some corn. Okay. Good chowder should have some corn. And I'm going to stir that in. Oh, it's going to be delicious. It smells delicious. Okay. Then this is a combination of basil and thyme. About a teaspoon of each. Okay. Basil and thyme. There we go. Here we go. Now I'm going to let this simmer just the way it is for about 15 minutes. And as with any soup, you should taste. And if it needs a seasoning adjustment, give it to it. This needs a little more black pepper. I know you guys are going like, what's he doing with all the black pepper? But believe you me, cream soups demand black pepper. And just a quick twist of salt. Mix this together. I'm going to let this simmer for about 15, and then we'll move on forward. Okay, guys. Chowder's been simmering for about 15 minutes. It's nice and thick, you can see, because it sticks to the sides of the pot. And one more layer. Some half and half. This will thin it down a bit. Add another layer of complexity. Now stir this around. There we go. Now, the last thing I'm going to add is the bay shrimp. Okay? There we go. There we go. The bay shrimp goes in. And I'm going to let this simmer for about another 5 to 8 minutes to cook the shrimp and soften the shrimp. And just to add that little extra touch of the flavor of the ocean, 2 tablespoons of clam juice. Okay? 2 tablespoons of clam juice. Okay? Gives this shrimp chowder the smell of chowder, the smell and taste of the ocean, along with the rest of the complex flavors. Now I'm going to stir this in. Here we go. And then the last thing I'm going to add is 1 teaspoon of Tango Verde Green. Okay. This stuff can get hot, so according to Joe, 1 teaspoon for this recipe. If I want to get it a little hotter or a little warmer, I will. We're not going for hot here. We're going for heat. We're going for warmth. But we're going for flavor. We're not going for all-out heat to where it kills the flavor of this chowder. And from the way I can smell it right now, a teaspoon will be just about right. So I'm going to simmer this for about another 5 to 8 minutes, and then we're going to plate up. Okay, guys, there you have it. The soup is done. It's nice, thick, velvety, creamy. It's got those bay shrimp in there. Oh my God. So I'm going to bowl up and have a taste. Okay, guys.